Hey people, Shinobi no Kami here. In this story Minato takes Obito in after he finds out about how the Uchiha clan treats him. Let us see how this will affect the timeline. So let's roll the intro. Chapter 21. Before any of them knew it, it was time for their first play date. The Hyugas wanted to have Hinata come over for a play date with her mother Hera. They decided to have Tsume bring Kiba with them as well, as he had already met Hinata and it might make her more comfortable since she was so shy. Rin and Anko were set to help Hera and Tsume run this little shindig. All of the kids were 3 years old at the moment and were talking decently. Granted, you couldn't always understand what they were saying, but for the most part they were able to figure out what the kids wanted. That's my way of saying that when they talk and leave out words, I'm doing the on purpose. 3-year-olds tend to leave out words when they talk. The play date was tomorrow, and Rin was very eager to see just how the kids would handle it. Rin opened the front door to find Hera and Tsume waiting with Hinata and Kiba. Kiba looked excited, while Hinata was hiding behind her mother's leg looking very nervous. Kiba grabbed her hand and ran inside. "Come on Hinata, we go play." Rin laughed as they ran past her and Anko followed to show them where the kids were. Tsume shook her head. "He's an excitable one, isn't he?" Hera didn't seem to mind in the least. "Maybe, but Hinata needs a little push." Kiba's good for bringing her personality out. Rin's mind went straight to Naruto, who had become the most lively member of the group as his personality started to come out. She had a feeling he'd help with bringing Hinata out of her shell as well. Anko led Kiba and Hinata to the living room where the kids were playing. The moment they came in, Naruto ran up to them. "Hi, I'm Naruto." "Who you?" Kiba was happy to see someone just as enthusiastic as he was. "I'm Kiba, this Hinata." "You wanna play?" Naruto nodded happily and brought them to Mito and Kakashi, who had just gotten done with a round of hide and seek. He had taken to wearing a mask after his parents told him the man he was named after did. He almost looked like a black-haired version of the first Kakashi with a little more meat on him. Kakashi grinned at them. "I'm Kakashi, I'm a good boy." Mito laughed and Anko looked at Kakashi curiously. He said that constantly and she had no idea why. It was a little strange, but for the most part she shrugged it off. Mito looked at Hinata and gave her a big smile. "I'm Mito." Hinata shuffled her feet nervously. "My name is Hina Hinata." Mito was overjoyed to have another girl to play with. "We playing hide and seek." "Come on, you hide with me." Anko watched as Naruto counted and the other hid. She had a feeling that these guys would be great friends. They played like that for the next few hours, eventually getting Hinata to overcome her shyness to really get into it. They played tag after hide and seek, promptly followed by lunch. After lunch they went over to Kiba's house and played with some of the Inuzuka puppies, which they absolutely loved. After about an hour of that they had to head home. Kiba and Hinata were sad to have their new friends leave, but promised to see them again as soon as possible. Obito, Jiraiya, and Tsunade listened happily to their kids' stories about the day's activities. They were glad to hear the kids hit it off so well. It was always good to have friends. Not to mention it would make things easier if either of them ended up on a team with the kids. The kids had another play date in a week with the children of the Ino-Shika-Cho formation. If they could become friends with them, then the only clan that they would have to make friends with left would be the Abarames. Considering the kids were almost guaranteed to be on bad terms with the Uchihas, being on good terms with all of the other major clans would make things much easier. Granted, they would never force them to be friends with anyone, but it would still make things easier if they managed to be friends with the other kids. The Ino-Shika-Cho kids were absolutely ecstatic to go on the play date. Well, 2/3 of them were anyway. The Shikamaru kid didn't really seem excited about anything. Ino was just super happy to have Mito to play with as there weren't many other girls for her to play with. Choji was happy to find that Naruto ate as much ramen as he did. Kakashi was just happy to play with anyone, even Shikamaru. Shikamaru was absolutely stunned that someone his age was willing to some of the games he liked. Most of the kids who were as old as him couldn't even understand the games he liked, but Kakashi was actually willing to learn. Only one problem arose when Ino asked, "Where's Naruto's mommy and daddy?" Obito and Jiraiya, who had been watching the kids, weren't sure how to answer that. Naruto knew his father was the fourth Hokage and they had even showed him pictures of his parents. But these kids were a little young to understand the concept of death. Jiraiya was about to answer when Naruto ran out with the picture they had give them, "This my mommy and daddy." Ino looked at the picture and Shikamaru, who saw the hat the man in the picture was wearing, said, "Your dad was the Hokage." Naruto smiled happily, "Yup, Uncle Obito says that he saved the villagers, but he died." The kids had all heard the word death before, but none of them actually knew what it was supposed to mean. Other than that, the play date went on without any other issues. The kids, just like with Hinata and Kiba, hit it off very well. In just 2 weeks they were going to go to Hidden Sand with their parents for a political meeting. They didn't know it yet, but they'd make some new friend there as well. The kids weren't exactly perfect on the way to the sand, but they could have been much worse. They did the classic, "Are we there yet?" about a dozen times. They had to tell Kakashi to put various scorpions and spiders down quite often. After a while Jiraiya summoned a toad to keep kids occupied. This visit wasn't really for any particular reason, just a general how's it going type of thing. The Leaf sent someone to go visit the sand at least once every month or two. Now it was their turn to bite the bullet, no matter how much they didn't want to. They would spend a few days visiting with the cage, then go home. Hopefully the kids could find a way to keep themselves busy. Naruto and the others had been wandering around the cage's mansion for an hour, with Rin following them, making sure that they didn't go somewhere they weren't supposed to. The kids weren't all that impressed with it, the Senjuistas were much bigger. What they were really looking for was someone to play with. Kakashi looked around to see a small red-haired boy who looked about 3, the same age as them, talking to a blonde man. Kakashi grabbed the others and ran to go talk to him with Rin chasing them. He ran up to the boy, "Hi, I'm Kakashi and I'm a good boy." The boy with red hair wasn't sure how to respond. "I'm Gaara. This my uncle Yashimaru." Naruto was next. "I'm Naruto, nice to meet you." Naruto stuck his hand out to shake Gaara's hand, but Gaara didn't shake back. He looked at his uncle as if to say, "Can I?" Yashimaru nodded and Gaara shook Naruto's hand, followed by Mito introducing herself. Yashimaru wasn't sure if he liked Gaara getting close to other kids, but he knew who these kids were, so he didn't want to insult them. The blonde was the son of 4th Hokage and the other 2 were major members of big clans after all. Kakashi saw a picture of the 4th cage on the wall and looked back at Gaara. "You looked like the cage." Gaara nodded, "He's my dad." Naruto grinned, "My dad was the 4th Hokage." Gaara was surprised to hear that. He wondered if there were any other similarities between them. Did he seal one inside you too?" Yashimaru looked appalled. "Gaara, don't ask that." Naruto looked confused. "One what?" Gaara looked at the ground. "A demon." Naruto thought he knew what Gaara meant. "I have fox inside me." Rin didn't know Naruto knew that. "Naruto, who told you that?" Naruto shrugged. "Uncle Jiraiya before I came here. He said that there was someone like me here." "Is that Gaara?" Gaara couldn't believe it. "I have a Tanu." Yashimaru finished. "Tanuki Gaara." Gaara frowned. "Yeah, that." Naruto was psyched he had someone so similar to him. "This is great. We're gonna be real good friends." Gaara wasn't used to that word. "Friends, you really want to be my friends?" They all nodded and Gaara finally smiled. "Do you want to meet my brother and sister? They don't usually talk to me, but I want them to meet my new friends." Mito thought that sounded great. "Okay." Gaara lead them off to find his siblings while Yashimaru watched in disbelief. Gaara's actually made some friends. They soon found Gaara's brother and sister. His brother, who was 4, was named Kankuro and his sister, who was 5, was named Tamari. Both were pretty surprised to see that Gaara had made some friends. Neither of them hated their brother, they actually felt sorry for him, but their father told them to stay away from him. Maybe now that he had made some friends their father would be more understanding. Before long they were happily playing with one another. They played ninja and board games for about 2 hours until Gaara asked Naruto a strange question, "Naruto, do you go to bed at night?" Naruto was confused at the question. "Yes, don't you?" Gaara shook his head. "No, everyone says it's cause of the tanuki. Uncle says it's cause my seal's bad." Naruto scratched his head. "Uncle Jiraiya is really good with seals. Show it to him." Gaara thought that sounded good. "Okay, we ask him later." They went back to playing, Temari and Kankuro having a real play date with their brother for the first time. Jiraiya looked at the seal with a deep frown on his face. "This seal is a joke. I mean, it's pretty good for an average ninja, but this'll never hold back a tailed beast for crying out loud." The cage didn't like the sound of that. "We had our finest sealer create it." Jiraiya rolled his eyes. Your finest sealer is an amateur. If you'll allow me, I can fix this seal. The boy will be able to sleep and he won't hear the tailed beast's voice in his head. He'll probably be able to use some of the tanuki's power too." Gaara looked very hopeful at that. "Really?" The cage liked the sound of him being able to control the tanuki's power. "Alright, as you wish. Would you like to wait till after dinner to do it?" Jiraiya shook his head. "Nah, the groundwork's already there, I just need to fix the finer details. Shouldn't take more than 10 minutes. The cage walked away with Kankuro and Temari following him. "Since Gaara's gonna be able to control his power now, we can see him more, right?" The cage supposed it might be a good idea to get Gaara more attached to the hidden sand, and if his brother and sister could do that for him, why not, of course. "If you'd like, we can have his room moved to the one next to yours." Kankuro and Temari couldn't believe it, they finally had their little brother back. The next 2 years followed a similar pattern. They would go to the sand once every month or two to visit Gaara and his siblings. His life had improved greatly thanks to his seal being fixed. Gaara, Temari, and Kankuro even got to come for their birthday parties too. Naruto and the others had also met Shino, who was a little strange but still very nice. Mito really liked slugs, so they hit it off well, and Kakashi and Naruto could get along with almost anyone. It had been a great few years for the group, that's for sure. Chapter 22. After the kids turned 5, there were a few interesting days that would follow. First, the meeting of Sakura Haruno. They met the young girl through Ino, who had helped the girl on the playground after getting teased for her large forehead. Ino had wanted to introduce her to her friends as they didn't have a mean bone in their body. Everyone was there except for Naruto. It was going quite well, until Naruto arrived. Sakura suddenly got very nervous. My mom said I shouldn't play around him." Ino and the others didn't understand. "Why, Naruto's harmless." Sakura didn't really know herself, something about him having something bad inside of him. Naruto cut her off. "You mean the fox?" Now it was Sakura's turn to be confused. "Fox?" Naruto nodded. "The Kyuubi, before my dad died he sealed it inside of me." Sakura suddenly started to back away. "You're the Kyuubi." Calling Naruto the Kyuubi was the only thing that set Kakashi off, so when Sakura said that, he started yelling, "Naruto is not the Kyuubi, he's a good boy. You shouldn't be so mean." Shikamaru rolled his eyes. "Yeah, it's just sealed inside of him. You know, like water in a glass. If you hate it when people make fun of you for your forehead, then don't pick at Naruto for having the Kyuubi sealed inside him." Sakura was on the verge of tears. "I didn't mean, I. Naruto didn't want all this trouble because of him. It's okay, I don't want Sakura to get in trouble because of me." Mito looked at Sakura. "We can have my mommy and daddy talk to your mom. Does that sound okay? They the legendary Sannin, so I think she'll listen to them." Sakura was just happy people weren't mad at her. "Yeah, I'll tell my mom when I get home. Is it alright if I play with you guys for now?" They all smiled at her. "Yeah, we were just going to play tag. You're it first." Sakura chased after them happily, glad that they were still letting her play with them. Mebuki Haruno wasn't thrilled at the idea of Sakura playing with someone who had the Kyuubi inside of him. She bared no actual ill will towards the boy, but after losing her husband Kazashi to that monster, she just didn't feel comfortable having Sakura being anywhere near it. However, she had the legendary Sannin at her house, so she would at least hear them out, not like that could do much harm. Jiraiya started. "Mebuki, I realize it may not be as easy as it for you as it is for some others to accept Naruto, but I'm telling you there's no risk. Minato was the finest sealer the world has ever seen and the seal he made is absolutely fantastic. Plus, I'm more than capable of keeping an eye on it as I'm not far behind my student. Mebuki, of course, still wasn't satisfied. The quality of seal isn't what I'm worried about, that fox is inside the boy. How do I know it's not influencing him and keeping the influence hidden? Tsunade frowned. We've had Inoichi keeping an eye on his mind since he was born. The Kyuubi has made no attempts to even get inside his head. Mebuki just wasn't sure. Sakura's all I've got, I can't imagine losing her. Tsunade could understand that much, but knew that something like that would do more damage than good. Keeping her cooped up like that won't do her any good. She's going to have to go out into the world eventually. Who better to be surrounded by than the village's most powerful ninjas? Mebuki couldn't deny that one. I suppose you're right. She can play with Naruto, but I'm still not completely comfortable with this. Jiraiya shook her hand. That's all we ask. I'll keep your daughter safe. Mebuki supposed she could live with that. She watched them head out, still a little scared for her daughter. The next person they met was a boy known as Sasuke, but that meeting wasn't nearly as pleasant. Sasuke absolutely hated Kakashi, as he was told to by his father. All of the Uchiha clan were to view Obito and Kakashi as traitors. Sadly, if Sasuke had known the truth about why Obito left, he might not be as proud to be an Uchiha. Like the rest of his clan, Sasuke was more or less brainwashed to think they were perfect, the ideal clan. His brother Itachi wasn't quite the same, as he had been introduced to darker side of the Uchiha clan at a very young age. Itachi was only 10, but he had already made Jonin in secret. He had activated his Sharingan at the age of 5 and had all of his Tomiyos by age 6. He was not nearly as aggravated when he met Kakashi on the street. They had saw Kakashi, Naruto, and Mito when they were out for ramen one day. Sasuke saw him and gave him an angry glare. My father say that you and your dad are traitors to the Uchiha clan. I hate traitors. Itachi patted his brother on the head. Now Sasuke, there's no need to start anything. I've researched this matter. Obito left the clan by legal means and has broken no laws. He and Kakashi are fellow citizens of the Leaf. You should apologize. Sasuke was surprised, but looked up to his brother above everyone. He turned to Kakashi. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have snapped at you. They walked away and Naruto and Mito turned to Kakashi. What was that about? Kakashi shrugged. Kakashi doesn't know, he just wants his ramen. Naruto still wasn't sure why Kakashi referred to himself in the first person. He didn't even know what the first person was actually, but when they took Kakashi to Inochi he said there was nothing wrong with him. Everyone just accepted it as part of his slightly strange personality. He was still very smart and very nice, so why look a gift horse in the mouth? They just followed him to get their ramen and let it rest. Sasuke questioned Itachi as they walked home. Itachi, what do you mean you looked into it? Itachi really was hoping to avoid that particular topic. Sasuke, there are things that happen in the Uchiha clan that you don't know about. Not everyone who's part of the clan is automatically a good person. Obito's father wasn't exactly a saint, a well-liked man. He was a drunken fool. Sasuke didn't understand, so why didn't someone just take care of it and move Obito somewhere? Itachi had to be careful about how he answered that. Well, by the time people knew the full extent of it, Obito was already gone. Not really a lie, but not the complete truth either. Sasuke guessed that made sense, but one thing still bugged him. Why didn't he come back when the clan said he could though? Luckily for Itachi, he didn't have to lie about that one. I have no idea, he must have been happier outside of the clan. Sasuke figured if Itachi didn't know why, then no one else must have either. Sakura learned a few very important things when she joined her new group of friends. 1. Naruto, Kakashi, and Kiba were the best pranksters in all of the Leaf. They always had the most brilliant ideas and they never managed to get caught. They even had the Hokage help them prank people on a few occasions. 2. Kakashi was very strange. He was very nice, but very strange. Sakura learned very quickly not to try and correct his speech. She remembered the first time she tried to. Sakura looked at the masked boy and smiled. I'm a good boy, Kakashi. Kakashi gave Sakura a funny look. Sakura, you're a girl. Sakura smacked her forehead. That's not what I meant. Kakashi nodded. Right, Kasu, you're a girl. Sakura shook her head. No, it's not that. Kakashi gasped, you're a boy. Sakura sighed, I'm a girl. Kakashi. You know what, never mind. Last but not least, never bring up Hinata's mother. Apparently she had died a year early giving birth to Hinata's sister Hanabi. She still didn't like to talk about it. It wasn't a great idea to bring up her cousin Neji either. It would start out just fine, she loved her cousin Neji after all and at one time they were great friends. However, that was before the incident. When Hinata was 3 years old, a Cloud Shinobi came to Leaf for talks of an alliance. That was lie, in reality they came to kidnap Hinata for her Byakugan. They intend on using her as breeding stock when she became old enough. Hiashi found out about this and killed the Cloud Ninja before he could take her. The Cloud demanded Hiashi's head, however they didn't get it. It was considered the duty of the branch family to protect the main family of the clan. Despite Hiyashi's protests, his brother and Neji's father Hisashi insisted on dying in his brother's place. The more Naruto found out about that Cloud, Jiraiya had told him stories about his parents' run-ins with them, the less he liked them. Jiraiya didn't like Naruto thinking that, he pointed out that there are plenty of things the Leaf did in the past that they aren't too proud of either. No village was without sin, all of them were just trying to do what they felt was best for their people. Granted some of those things are worse than others, but it wasn't really a competition. Other than that, Sakura found out they didn't really care what you did. No one cared Choji was chubby, no one cared that Shikamaru was lazy, not even Shino's bugs threw anyone off. They just accept you for who you were, everyone could just be themselves. It was really a place where you could be comfortable. Mibuki had to admit, she was very wrong about Naruto. The boy was the exact opposite of dangerous, she had never seen Sakura this strong before. She was becoming independent and confident, all of which stemmed from her new group of friends. If she had told Sakura she couldn't be around them because of Naruto, she never would have made this much progress. She couldn't have been more grateful to the Sannin for talking her into all of this. Only one thing made her nervous, when Sakura came to her and told her she wanted to be a ninja. Mibuki just wasn't sure how to react to that, she had already lost her husband to the shinobi life after all. Still, she just couldn't tell Sakura no about this, she'd never forgive herself if she did. If it's what Sakura wanted, it's what she'd let her do, no matter how much it scared her. 3 more years passed and the academy sign-ups were in just 1 week. Little did they know that wouldn't be the big thing on everyone's mind. Chapter 23. Fugaku refused to wait any longer, the Leaf just kept lowering and lowering the amount of power the Uchiha had to the point they were almost on the same level as the other clan. The Uchihas were one of the first clans who formed this village, they deserved more power than the other clans. The Senjus only had Tsunade and her daughter left, so their power should be reduced. Therefore the Uchihas deserved the most power of all the clans in the entire village. He had heard some reports saying there might finally be an Uchiha as Hokage. Imagine his shock when he found out it was Obito they were talking about. The old fool was looking to retire again and he was looking at Obito, Jiraiya, and Tsunade to replace him. There was no way he could let the first Uchiha Hokage be someone who had betrayed them. The time had come, they had been talking about it for quite some time now. They were finally going to take their rightful place as the leaders of the village. Itachi was walking through the Uchiha compound, he was on his way to his father's office to tell him about his most recent mission. He heard voices from the other side of the door to his father's office, it's finally time, this pathetic little village will bow to its knees before us. We've earned this right. In 2 days we'll act, we've lost Shishi, but we've still got Itachi. Once he returns from his mission we'll brief him on his role in all of this. One of the others spoke up, are you sure we can trust him? Rumor has it he's the one who drowned Shishi. Itachi winced at that, while he was the one who killed Shishi in a sense, it was at his request. Shishi was being used as a weapon, something he hated, so he jumped into an river and told Itachi not to save him. He had asked Itachi to kill him and take his remaining eye, as Danzo had stolen the other one. His eyes had the ability to hypnotize and control almost anyone, it was too dangerous to keep in anyone's possession but Itachi's. Shishi died and Itachi had ended up with the Mangekyo Sharingan through it. He turned around and headed to the Hokage's office, but stopped once he reached Sasuke's room. Grabbing his brother in a manner that wouldn't wake him up, Itachi kept moving to the Hokage's office. No way in hell was he leaving his brother to be kept with those made men. Sarutobi couldn't believe what he was hearing. They're really going to betray us, you're sure about that? Itachi looked at his brother who was asleep on a nearby couch. Yes, they've heard rumors that Obito could be the next Hokage and are furious about it. Sarutobi was shocked to hear that. What, but I've told almost no one about that. Who could have told them? Wait. Danzo, of course. He knows the Uchiha stand no chance against all of us, especially if he finds a way to tip us off first. With the Uchiha clan weakened, he'd have them right in his hands. I can't believe he'd go that far just for politics. It's something even I never imagined he could do. Itachi frowned. What do you think we should do? Sarutobi wasn't sure. I'd say gather the council, but frankly I don't trust them, seeing as how it looks Danzo was the one who triggered this. I'll go and see if I can't talk them down, offer them some kind of consolation prize. Itachi didn't think that was a great idea. Do you think that's wise? After all, they could simply launch a surprise attack on you. Sarutobi shook his head. I can handle myself just fine. A battle with me would certainly draw attention, which would bring me reinforcements. Itachi couldn't really argue with his logic. All right sir, but I should go with you. They'll be more willing to talk to you if I'm there. They don't want to lose their golden POW after all. Sarutobi got up and walked to the door. We'll leave Sasuke here for now, no reason to bring him along and put him at risk. My secretary can keep an eye on him. Itachi was satisfied with that and followed Sarutobi as he left the Hokage's office. Sarutobi got to the Uchiha compound and smelled a familiar scent that sent chills down his spine: blood. Sarutobi and Itachi rushed into Uchiha compound to find dead bodies everywhere. The ground was dyed crimson with a few severed body parts around them. This didn't make sense. Who on earth did this? Only Itachi and Sarutobi knew of the revolt. Who else had any reason to kill them? That's when they heard the voice of woman. I'd say it was nothing personal, but frankly I enjoyed killing all of bastards of the Uchiha clan. Sarutobi saw that it was the same bandaged woman from before. Aren't you one of those Uchiha bastards? The woman shrugged. I was once, but I got out the second eye. Good. It was time for the Uchiha clan to die. Perhaps you and the others can rebuild it in a better form. Itachi felt rather dizzy. Who all did you kill? The woman smiling under her bandages. I'm afraid that only you, your brother, Obito, and Kakashi are the only remaining Uchihas now. Itachi was ready to vomit and the woman turned away. The Uchihas would be too much a threat to me, especially if they took over the village. I handled them. Sarutobi got into a battle-ready position. I don't know who you are, but you're not leaving the walls of this village. The woman laughed. Oh, I'm already gone. This is just a genjutsu. It's similar to the one I used on this entire compound. They never even saw me coming. As for who I am, I'll leave that for you to figure out. She vanished into thin air, leaving Sarutobi to gawk at the situation. Itachi had finally regained his bearings and turned to the Hokage. So, what now? Sarutobi ground his teeth. We head back to the office and try to think of some way to explain all this to the council without it sounding insane. The whole village knew by morning. Most of them couldn't believe the entire Uchiha clan had been slaughtered like that. Sarutobi had explained it all to the council last night during an emergency meeting. The only thing he kept a secret was the fact that the Uchihas intend on attacking the village if that woman hadn't stopped them. Everyone's first question was the same: who is this woman that managed to kill an entire clan on her own? The only thing they knew for sure about her is that she was an Uchiha, but that wasn't really much help. They had checked all the dead bodies to see who was missing from them. Seemed like the easiest way to find out who she was. However, there were no Uchihas unaccounted for. Everything they found raised more questions than it answered. Sarutobi genuinely had no idea where to go from here. He knew one thing though: he didn't envy Itachi trying to explain all of this to Sasuke. Sasuke was about to faint. He felt nauseous too. His parents were dead. Almost his entire family was dead. He only had Itachi left. Sasuke turned to his brother with tears in his eyes. How did this happen? Were they killed? Itachi nodded. Yes, they were. I'm sorry Sasuke, I know you must be very scared right now. Sasuke suddenly yelled, tears still streaming down his face. Who was it? Itachi was surprised that his brother was screaming at him like that. We're not sure who she is, but she was an Uchiha at one time. Sasuke started to go from sad to angry. We're gonna get her, someday I'll kill her. Itachi frowned. Sasuke, calm yourself. I know you're angry, but what we need to do right now is get our thoughts together and figure out what we need to do now. Sasuke wiped his eyes. He had to be strong like his big brother. Where are we gonna stay? Itachi was about to say he didn't know when he heard a knock at the door. They were in a side room in the Hokage's building, so Itachi wasn't really sure who was. He opened the door to find Obito and Kakashi on the other side. Side note, you should be picturing the older version of Obito now because he's 24 at this point. Obito gave Itachi a sympathetic look. Hello Itachi, how are you holding up? Itachi sighed. I've been much better, I'll tell you that much. Kakashi ran up to Sasuke. Hey Sasuke, Kakashi heard you sad and wanted to come make you feel better. Sasuke was a little surprised how enthusiastic he was. Thank you, I guess. Obito smiled at his son and turned to Itachi. I know we aren't official Uchihas, but we're still family as far as I'm concerned. If you need anything, all you have to do is ask. Itachi mulled over what he had said. We do need a place to stay. Kakashi jumped up. Oh, can they stay with us, Dad? Can they? Obito laughed. Of course, if they want to anyways. Kakashi turned to Sasuke. Please stay with us, Kakashi promises you'll have a good time. Sasuke was skeptical and turned to his brother, who smiled and turned to Obito. We'd be happy to stay with you, thank you very much. Kakashi grabbed Sasuke's hand and pulled him out of the room. Come on, you're gonna love it, our house. Itachi and Obito chuckled as Kakashi dragged Sasuke to the house. Hopefully the kids could keep Sasuke's mind off from everything. Sasuke was completely thrown off by how nice everyone's Senju estates were. It was nothing like the Uchiha compound. Rather than dark, dim, and quiet, it was bright and loud. His parents weren't nearly as lively as these guys seemed to be. He had ended up walking with Naruto, Kakashi, and Mito to the first day of the academy, along with their parents and his big brother. Sasuke got several funny looks from almost everyone he walked past, which he knew was because of the massacre. When they finally reached the academy, he was just glad not to have anyone staring at him. As soon as they got there, Mito ran up to Kiba so that she could pet Akamaru, Kiba's dog and partner. Mito worked with animals at vet to start with her medical training, and she found she absolutely loved animals. Akamaru yipped happily as he got his belly scratched. Oh, who's a good boy? You are, yes you are. Kiba was always amazed at how good Mito was with animals. Akamaru rolls over every time he sees you, it's like he knows you're gonna rub his belly. Mito shrugged, he just knows me well then. Ino ran up to Mito. Mito, can you believe it, we're gonna be actual ninjas soon. Mito stopped petting Akamaru and hugged Ino. I'm so excited. Hinata was looking nervous as always, so Naruto went up to her. Hey Hinata, ready for your first day? Hinata smiled shyly. Yes, thank you Naruto. Finally the teacher opened the door. He had brown hair and a scar right below his eyes. Alright everyone, welcome to your first day here at the academy. You may call me Iruka-sensei, come on in and let's get started. As they walked back in, Enko was grinning. That guy with the scar was Kati. Rin rolled her eyes. You and scars, I'm surprised you aren't after Ikibi. Enko shook her head. Nah, he's too much a big tough guy, I need someone to balance me out, ya know. Rin raised an eyebrow. Right. Chapter 24. Iruka got inside and looked at the class he had received. Not a bad mix overall, lots of clan heirs and the sons of a few prominent ninjas. Plenty of potential to work with. They had already taken the written pretest and most everyone scored pretty well. A few scores stood out though. Shikamaru's test had just enough right to have been considered passing if it had been a real test. Sakura, Hinata, Mito, and Shino would have passed with flying colors. Kiba, Kakashi, Choji, and Ino all would have failed, but they all came close. Naruto and Sasuke both passed, but not by a very large margin. There was boy named Sai there as well who did rather well on the test, leaving Iruka very curious as to who he was, as he had never heard of Sai before. Next was the taijutsu test, which went surprisingly well. Granted, only Naruto, Sasuke, Hinata, Kiba, and Choji had what was considered passable taijutsu, but for their age group that was great. Finally they did the ninjutsu test, which showed off extremely impressive results. Iruka asked everyone to show him their best jutsu, which the kids of course immediately took to be a competition. Sakura went first to get hers over with, as ninjutsu was by far her weakest area. The best jutsu she could do was the clone jutsu, just regular, she couldn't add any elements to it. Ino went next. She used her mind transfer jutsu on Shikamaru to wake him up and get him over there to show off his jutsu. It took almost all of her chakra and she had to sit down when she was done. Shikamaru, despite his pretests, showed off his shadow position technique. He used it on Ino as payback for waking him up, but was only able to keep it going for about a minute before he had to stop. After Shikamaru, Choji was up. He could make his hand massive for a very short period of time. He could only hold it for about 20 seconds, not really long enough to do much damage. Shino went next and used his beetles to swarm a nearby target. Not exactly a jutsu, but Iruka felt it counted. The boy no one knew much about, Sai, went up. He came up with scroll and drew a small bird, which actually flew off the page and out the window, much to everyone's amazement. Kiba used Akamaru to complete his man-best clone jutsu. There were now two solid Kibas who could both fight simultaneously. He could only use it for about 5 minutes though. Sasuke and Kakashi both used fireball jutsu, both of which impressed everyone who saw it. While Kakashi thought it was awesome the both of them knew it, Sasuke was slightly bothered that someone else could perform it. Oh well, not like he couldn't learn other jutsus. Mito made a small cut on Kakashi's hand, then healed it for him. Nothing major, but still impressive for an 8-year-old. Naruto went last and he used his best jutsu. Iruka was shocked to see the boy could perform the shadow clone jutsu. Apparently his parents found out that he had too much chakra to use regular ones, so they taught him the shadow version. Naruto asked one last question, can we show everyone our summons too? Iruka nodded and everyone gathered to watch. Naruto summoned one of his toads first, Gamakichi. Gamakichi was a little angry at first but once Naruto gave him some chocolate he happily poofed away. Next Mito summoned her slug Taime, who introduced herself and poofed away very quickly. She was almost as shy as Hinata. Finally, Kakashi summoned his favorite snake Kakume, Jet Black Viper. The kids were scared at first, but they soon found that he was almost as strange as Kakashi was. He liked to hide in places and scare people when they weren't training. He and Kakashi must have worked quite well together. Iruka was shocked at how well his students were doing. He couldn't have been more impressed with them to be honest. He just hoped they wouldn't make his too easy. Naruto, Kakashi, Mito, and Sasuke all walked back to the Senju estates with Anko. They felt very well about their tests today. Kakashi wasn't really paying them much mind as he was busy chatting with Kakume. Did you see everyone today Kakume? We blew them away. Kakume agreed with his summoner, lengthening out his S's like snakes do. Yes, did you see Iruka's face when I hid in his desk? Kakashi laughed, that was priceless. Sasuke turned to Naruto, is he always like this? Naruto shrugged, more or less, yeah. He's super nice though. Sasuke looked Kakashi over once again, he's gonna activate his Sharingan one day, and when he does I'm going to need his help in finding that woman. Naruto didn't like the sound of that, is it really that important to get revenge on that lady? Sasuke scowled, the blood in his veins turning cold, she killed my whole family, I can't just let that go. Suddenly someone appeared behind them, Kakashi will help. Sasuke turned to Kakashi, you'll really help me. Kakashi nodded vigorously, Dad says that the Uchihas are finally a full-fledged family again, since your family Kakashi should help you. Mito and Naruto joined in. Mito looked at Kakashi, if she really did all that then sees bad for the Leaf, so all of will help you take her down. Sasuke smiled, he may have lost his old family, but it looked like he might have gained a new one as well. Sarutobi looked at Obito, Tsunade, and Jiraiya, pondering how to begin this. I assume you all know why I've called you here. Tsunade frowned, yeah, you want one of us to take your job. Jiraiya sighed, so, guess we have to decide who's the best choice in this situation. I think I'm out of the question, I might be strong enough to be Hokage but I'm awful with politics. Tsunade deepened her frown, great, I'm good with both of those so I'm still an option. Obito looked around, I don't think it should be me in that case, I know nothing about politics. Sarutobi shook his head, Actually Obito, that's one of the reasons I picked you. You've got no skeletons in your closet that someone could hold over you. Also you'd have multiple experienced people you can trust to guide with the political areas you don't know about. You're the one I'm leaning towards right now. Obito wasn't sure what to make of all of this. Tsunade stood up. I say we go with Obito, I definitely don't want to do it, plus I've got duties at the hospital I have to take care of. I'm sure Obito is gonna do fine. Jiraiya nodded, yeah, and even if I was good with politics, I've got my spy network to run. Sarutobi was hoping it would end this way. Obito it is, I'll go put the process in motion. See you all soon. Jiraiya and Tsunade replied at the same time, alright see ya. Before Obito could speak, all of them were gone, leaving him to wonder one thing. What the hell just happened? Rin repeated what she just heard, you're going to be Hokage. Obito gulped, he wasn't sure how she was going to react to this. Are you okay with this? I mean I can still turn it down if you really want me to. Rin wasn't having that, no, it's fine. I'm scared about how dangors the job is, but there's no way I can tell you turn this down. Obito couldn't believe how cool she was with this, wow, thanks. Wonder how excited the kids are gonna be. Kakashi popped out of nowhere, what will Kakashi be excited about? Rin jumped, she had no idea he was there, is it bad I'm considering putting a bell on my own son? Obito laughed, get the other kids in here Kakashi, we've got some big news. Rin watched him run off and looked at her husband, this seems too similar to when Sensei told us he was going to be Hokage. Obito held his wife close to him, don't worry sweetie, I won't leave you and the kids all alone. Rin giggled, we'd still have Tsunade and Jiraiya, we'd manage. Obito gave a mock pout, oh, you make it sound like you don't even need me. Rin leaned in and kissed him, oh, I wouldn't say that. Kakashi popped up again, Kakashi brought them, just like you asked. Obito saw Naruto, Mito, Itachi, Sasuke, and Anko in front of them. Anko looked a little annoyed, what is it, I was getting ready for my date. Rin raised an eyebrow, when do you get a date? Anko grinned, when I picked the kids up from school. I convinced Haruka-kun to take me out. Rin wasn't sure she was telling them everything, convinced. Anko had a mischievous look on her face, yeah, convinced. Haruka looked around as all of the kids left the academy, his eye was soon caught by a woman walking his way. Hi, I'm here to pick up Naruto, Mito, Kakashi, and Sasuke. Haruka nodded, they should be out in just a minute, I'm their sensei Haruka. Anko shook his hand, name's Anko. Must be pretty smart if you're a teacher. Haruka nodded, well yeah, I'm not much of a fighter but I'm great with the academic stuff. Anko wasn't so sure about what he just said, I heard you were at least Jonin level shinobi. Haruka rubbed the back of his head, it's not that I'm not a good fighter, I just never really had it in me. Anko figured that made sense, you must have a lot of patience to keep these kids in line all day. Haruka shrugged, I guess. These kids can be pretty stressful at times. Anko leaned in close to him, and how do you handle that, relieving your stress I mean. Haruka blushed at how close she was to him, well, I don't really. Anko saw the kids coming out and whispered in his ear, how about we go get a bite to eat tonight and we'll see if we can't relieve that stress of yours. Haruka just nodded dumbly while Anko walked away yelling back to him, meet me at Dango shop on the corner here at 8, see you later Haruka-kun. Haruka watched her walk away with a small smile on his face. That was one hell of a woman. Anko smiled, convincing Haruka was fun. Rin had feeling she didn't want to know what all that entailed, sorry to keep you from getting ready, but this is big. Obito's been chosen as the new Hokage. That set Anko up, while Kakashi was bouncing up and down, Dad's gonna be the Hokage. Sasuke watched his cousin with curiosity then turned to his brother, so if Obito's gonna be the 5th Hokage, we'll have an easier time rebuilding the Uchiha clan, right? Itachi nodded, yes, but there's some more important things about this than that. Sasuke gave him a funny look, like what? Itachi couldn't help but laugh at his little brother, it means that Obito now has the power to protect everyone in the village. Though I will admit, having the first Uchiha Hokage does help our situation. Naruto and Mito turned to each other and yelled happily, Uncle Obito's gonna do great. Obito watched his family celebrate and couldn't help but feel like good things were to come. He was going to be the one everyone looked to in his village, but with his family behind him he knew he could do it. Chapter 25. Obito sat on top of the Hokage's building, his whole body just buzzing with excitement. He never thought in a million years that he would be the Hokage. The whole time he sat there and wondered if his sensei had been this nervous when he took the position. Everything that he heard his sensei and Sarutobi talk about was starting to make sense to him. That feeling, the pressure of having almost everyone looking at you for guidance and you not always having the answer, it wasn't easy. Finally he was shaken out of his thoughts when Sarutobi came up to him. "Obito, it's time." Obito got up and looked at Sarutobi. He had his hat in his hands ready to be handed off to Obito. "Right, let's do this." Obito gave a small gulp as looked out of the crowd. Sarutobi turned to him and began his speech. "People of the Hidden Leaf, I'm pleased to once again be able to give this hat to a worthy successor. It pained the leaf to watch my first successor sacrifice himself to save this village, me more so than anyone. However, he left us one amazing thing, a student who thought only of others before himself. A man who I can truly trust with the safety of this village. Ladies and gentlemen, your new Hokage, Obito Uchiha." Sarutobi handed Obito the hat and shook his hand. Obito took a deep breath and began to speak. "Thank you all for this great honor you've entrusted me with. I can't say that I saw this coming, but I promise to do everything I can to protect you. I'm a man of few words, so I'll only say one more thing. I'll protect this village to my dying breath, that much you can count on." The village cheered and Obito gave one last bow to the village. It appeared they approved of their new Hokage. Obito wasn't the only one with major changes in his life. Enko was finding her life turning upside down as well. She really hadn't expected anything to come from her relationship with Iruka. She just figured they would have run with one another for a while, shake hands, then move on. Much to her surprise, however, she actually started to like him. They had been dating for the past 6 months now. Their most recent date had a pretty big surprise in it. Enko was having a great time with Iruka at her favorite dango stand. It was where they went to the most on their dates as it was one of the only places they really agreed on. Enko and Iruka seemed to be one of those couples that work so well together because they were exact opposites. Enko was loud, brash, and overall just a very lively person, while Iruka was calm, laid back and just an all-around simple guy. Something about the two just worked perfectly together. Iruka found that Enko brought out his fun side and got him to loosen up a bit, and Enko found that he was good at helping her know when to control her emotions. They were really a good match. Iruka was currently on the ground laughing from one of Enko's stories. "You really dozens of snakes into the Hokage's building just because they wouldn't let you integrate one of Orochimaru's men." Enko shrugged. "None of them were poisonous, I just had to work out my frustrations, that's all." Iruka finally got himself to stop laughing and shook his head. "You and your frustrations, they'll get you into trouble one of these days." Enko smiled sweetly. "Yeah, but you'll be there to bail me out, won't you?" Iruka gave her little kiss on the cheek. "Of course, sweetie. You know I love all your little quirks. You wouldn't be you without them." Enko blurted out without thinking, "And that's why I love you." Iruka went wide-eyed. "What did you just say?" Enko wasn't sure how to respond. "I said I love you." Enko was terrified at what Iruka would say next, until he finally said, "I love you too." Enko shuffled nervously. "So now what?" Iruka didn't really know either. "Well, I guess we just keep going like we have been for now. I mean, what else are we gonna do?" Enko gave a small suggestion. "You could move in with all of us at the Senju-istas, or I could move in with you, whichever one you think is better." Iruka thought about it. "I don't know about living with that many people, and I'd hate to take you away from the kids." Enko had an idea. "Why don't you just try staying over for a week? I know you'd love it, you tried it. Not to mention you'd get to be with me every night," she finished with a seductive simile. Iruka shuddered at that smile. It was always followed with something good. "Alright, we'll give it a shot. I'll go grab some stuff from my place and be over in about an hour." Enko gave Iruka a kiss goodbye and watched him walk out. She really didn't expect this, but she had to admit she was really liking it. Tsunade shrugged. "Sure, he can stay here a while. We could use one more person to watch the kids anyway." Enko was a little nervous at that. "Well, it might be a little different since he's their teacher." Tsunade smirked. "I know Enko, you haven't shut up about him for the past 5 months. Anko blushed. What? I haven't been talking that much. Rin decided to speak up. Yes you have, in fact you've practically told us his life story. Anko was stuttering. I just. Rin laughed. You love the guy, nothing wrong with that. Anko pouted. Fine, just don't go spreading it around. I've got a reputation to uphold. Rin looked at Anko and rolled her eyes. You really need to learn that you can show emotion sometimes. Anko finally gave up on keeping her pride in this situation and just went to go make her room more suitable for two people. Who knew love was so damn complicated? Iruka was worried that staying with Anko and teaching the kids would lead to some problems, but it turned out that it was actually kind of helpful. He found out things about them that made teaching them much easier. He discovered Kakashi was some kind of genius, which didn't make sense considering his written tests. Iruka found it out one day when he was at the table doing some math in his head about some bills he had to pay. At the time he was mumbling to himself quietly, let's see, 24 times 58 divided by 4. Kakashi, who was eating lunch at the table, suddenly blurted out, 348. Iruka jumped a little at his sudden answer, but found he was right after he did the math. Kakashi, how did you know that? Kakashi shrugged. Kakashi just did the math in his head. Iruka wanted to see if it was just math that he knew about, who were the founding clans of the village. He didn't answer that question on the test, so Iruka was surprised when he said, the Senju and the Uchiha. Iruka frowned slightly. Kakashi, you didn't answer that final half of the questions on your test, but you're clearly smart enough to have finished it. Why didn't you? Kakashi didn't seem to understand what Iruka was confused about. I got bored with it, so me and Shikamaru played shogi. Iruka didn't remember them doing that. I saw you still taking the test before the clock ran out. How could you've played shogi with Shikamaru? Kakashi got up and put his plate in the sink. We played on paper and handed it back and forth. Shikamaru likes playing with me because he says I'm almost as smart as he is. I even beat him every once in a while. Iruka couldn't believe it, those two weren't even trying on the academic stuff. At first he was going to protest, but in the end he decided not to look a gift horse in the mouth. Alright, you and Shikamaru can play shogi on paper in class, as long as you promise not to tell anyone I'm letting you and you actually finish the next test, you can play shogi after you're done. Kakashi smiled under his mask. Okay, I'm gonna go train with my snakes with Mito and Naruto, see you later. He also found out Mito was a surprisingly mature girl for her age. If he had to guess, he'd say that it was because she had worked in the hospital with her mother from the age of 4. Mito more or less had come peace with the concept of death. This little fact was discovered when he was reading a report about an old friend of his that had died recently on a mission. He was sitting down reading the scroll and was so invested in it that he didn't notice Mito was right behind him reading it. Mito frowned. Neurotoxin, that's a bad one. The people at the hospital were really in pain when they got hit with that stuff. Iruka nearly passed out from fright at her appearing out of nowhere. Rin was right, those kids needed bells. You really shouldn't be reading this. Mito frowned. Why? I go to the hospital with Mom and Aunt Rin all the time. I know people die, it's just part of life. That's what Mom always told me anyway. Iruka blinked a few times in surprise. You're lucky to know that so young, most ninjas have to learn that in the field. Rin shrugged. No use being all scared of it, we just gotta enjoy what time we've got. I'm gonna go over to Hinata's and play, can you tell Mom for me? Iruka nodded and watched the small girl run away. These kids were something else. Next, he learned that Naruto didn't seem to have any hard feelings about all of the stuff with the Kyuubi, which shocked him greatly. Naruto had been reading a book with about his dad. He read very well for an 8-year-old, and looking very hard at what the contents were. Iruka had walked up to him. Reading about your dad, huh? He was a really great hero. Naruto grinned. Yeah, he's so awesome he even stopped the Kyuubi. Iruka wasn't sure why he was happy when he said that. You're not even a little mad at him. About that. Naruto shook his head. No way, Uncle Jiraiya says I'm the only one Dad trusted enough to give the Kyuubi. That's awesome. Iruka had to admit, that was a good way to look at it. Glad you feel that way, a lot of people would be angry. Naruto smiled. Well, not me. I think it's cool. Iruka also learned a little bit about Sasuke, although he wasn't nearly as forthcoming. To be honest, the only thing he learned for sure about Sasuke was that he trusted his brother more than anyone. He looked up to Itachi as his hero, he was what Sasuke strived to be. Iruka had to say, he was really starting to like it here. Enko wasn't kidding at all when she said that this was just one giant family. He decided that he would stay here with Enko, it just felt like the right place for him to be. He'd tell Enko in the morning,